Hopefully by now you have seen our film with the McLaren Senna road car up at Donington, but as we're down at the McLaren Technology Centre today with this, the MP4 which we've been using in the film as well, I thought it would be a shame not to, well, take a bit more of a look at this car. And as we have here, Gary Wheeler, who was, you were number 2 mechanic. You worked on Ayrton's car basically all through his time at McLaren, didn't you?
I did. I was
so
lucky enough.
I thought it'd be great to get you to just talk us around some of your memories of this car and more about it, really.
Well, this car, obviously, they all hold special memories, but this holds a lot of emotions for me because it was the last season we was with Ayrton, and we was doing a race by race thing at the beginning. But
that's right, because he didn't sign a contract for the full year,
no,
did he? He signed
not
it
at the beginning,
to keep everyone on
and but that didn't really affect us. We just carried on doing our job. But yeah, this holds many memories, and it's the last time he drove for us. And I remember strapping him in Adelaide for his last Grand Prix, and he went out and won it, which was the perfect end to his career with us.
Yeah.
And I was very fortunate to be on this car. And he did special races. He beat Graham Hill's record at Monaco in this car, 6 wins. And obviously the Grand Prix everybody remembers, the European Grand Prix at Donington, the only one we did there.
What do you remember of that day?
Cold. It was freezing cold. I thought, well, I hope we never do another race here in Easter at Donington. And it was pouring with rain, but he was 4th on the grid, and the start's always nervous. He dropped to 5th, and then by the end of lap 1 he was in the lead. And I thought that was just the most incredible piece of driving I've ever seen. Yeah. And
the rest of the race was wet, dry, wasn't it?
Yeah, and the conditions changed throughout. That opening lap he did, all his karting skills came back to him. Then he went offline, whereas others forgot to do that, and he found the grip, and it was absolutely poetry to watch. But I think we did about 7 or 8 pit stops. I remember him coming through the pits at one stage, and we were changing the air bottles because we'd run out of air. So we had to go back out and in again. But we did our changes at the right time, and we got it right every time. And he won the race. I think he lapped everybody except second.
Yes.
So it was an incredible victory, and I remember him on the podium. It was fantastic.
What was your job during the pit stops?
In the pit stops, I was right front gunner.
Yeah.
And we all did our own jobs, but it all went well, went very well.
I remember you said you had a story about him at Monaco as well, because obviously, as you said, he was his 5th win in a row and his 6th one overall to take the record from Graham Hill.
At that time, Graham Hill was always known as Mr. Monaco because he'd had 5 wins, and Ayrton had equalled his record the year before. This year, in '93, he had a chance of beating Graham's record of 6 wins there. And we used to do morning warm-up prior to the Grand Prix then, and we checked the car over and it was all good, and I think it was about half an hour before we were due to go to the grid, and I was just checking that everything was correct in the cockpit for when Ayrton got in. And I looked up, and the other side of the tensor barriers was Betty Hill, and she was looking around the car, and then she looked up at me and she said, "Good luck." And then he went out and won it. Yeah. So I thought that was really lovely of her.
And of course,
really nice.
Son Damon was second.
And of course, Damon was second. But she still wished us luck, and he did it, and it's a really nice feeling.
That was really
nice day. But
what was Senna like before a race? Was he very much sort of in a zone?
Yeah, a lot of drivers are, but he would distance himself from everybody. Yeah. And he would stay in the motorhome, and he'd just go very quiet and totally focused, and we didn't do many chats, he just got in and did his job. And he was one of the drivers that on the grid, when he drove the car to the grid, he never got out. No. Because he knew the steering was on properly, he knew everything worked, and he didn't want anything coming disengaged. He would just slacken his seatbelt, so he'd take his crash helmet off and that, but it was everything ready. It gave no chance of anything not being put on right at the last minute, and he did that all the time actually. But he he did his job very well.
And he asked for you specifically when he came to McLaren.
That was a bit. That was quite amazing, actually. Yeah, I knew Ayrton years ago, right? Because I worked for Emerson Fittipaldi, and Chico Serra used to bring me into the workshop, and we got to know Ayrton when he was very young quite well.
Yeah.
I got to know him very well, and always spoke to him when he was in his other teams with Tolman and Lotus, and I did say to him one day when we was passing by, I said, if you ever come to McLaren's, you make sure I'm on your car, won't you? And he said, I'll do my best, you know. And funnily enough, when he did finally come, and we had a tour of the factory and did all the signings and everything like this, the very next day, the team manager came down to me, which was Dave Ryan, and said to me, he said, well, you know, what makes you so special then? And I said, I don't know what you're on about. He said, well, Ayrton's upstairs just about to put pen to paper with Ron Dennis and all the big sponsors. And he said, oh, one more request. Can I have Gary on my car, please? And so I couldn't believe it, that he actually did ask. And Dave said, you know, we decide who works on the cars. He said, but luckily for you, we was going to put you on anyway. But yeah, it was quite a funny story, that was all. But he did ask, so it was nice.
That's fantastic.
But, yeah.
Just this specific car, we should say sort of a few things about this. So this was 93, top of all the electronic aids and everything. So this had the active suspension on it, which was designed to keep the car sort of level through the corners, wasn't it?
It maintained its aero balance, whether it's braking, accelerating, or going through corners. We could, you know, it wasn't just the hydraulic side of it; it had a clever electronic side of it as well, and we could, program roll bar stiffnesses, changes through corners. There wasn't a lot they couldn't do with it, really. Yeah. It was quite amazing, and it was a beautifully neat, nimble car designed by Neil Oakley and his team, and it worked very well.
Because it's amazing seeing it sort of, even amongst other Grand Prix, it looks very short and compact, doesn't it, really? Which obviously I suppose would work well for Monaco and that sort
of thing. I think that's why it worked well at Donington and Monaco and circuits like that. It was the first year we used barge boards to deflect the air down the side and towards the rear wing and floor. It just worked extremely well. It was a beautifully balanced car, pretty car.
Yes, really, really pretty car. Gearbox, this is the
semi-automatic.
First full year of using.
First full season of it. We did use it in '92. Ironed out any things for '93, and that all worked very well. A transverse box, that all worked very well. The team worked brilliantly with it.
And we've got Powered by Ford on the side now. The Benetton famously was that they were the customer, or they were the factory team, weren't they? So they had the slightly more powerful engine, at least to start with, which I think was the NBA 7 or whatever it was. And this was slightly down on power. You said it had more revs by the end. It was caught up.
Come Silverstone, I think we'd managed to extract more revs from the engine, with Ford. And to be honest, I don't think there was much in it towards the end. And we certainly won more Grand Prix than they did. I think they only won one.
But you were all chasing, obviously, the Williams V10.
That was
which had sort of 750 as opposed to this.
That did have a little bit more grunt. That was the only problem. But Ayrton drove the wheels off this car, and he was fantastic.
And the other thing, there was an MP4 8B, which was this car unliveried, but lengthened to take the Lamborghini
Chrysler
V12 in it, which was tested.
Tested that down in Pembury, and I think
of all the circuits to go to, Pembury.
And I think it still unofficially holds the lap record round there. Ayrton does. So I might be wrong, but I knew he did for many years. Yeah. So, that was a development car, and it sounded fantastic.
I was going to say, it must have been absolutely awesome. Well, Gary, thank you very much. It's lovely to have an extra look at this car. It is just
it's beautiful, pretty car. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Okay,
Cheers, Gary.
No worries.